My whole life I've always dreamed of creating a great life for myself. For many years I tried to improve myself to become the person I wanted to be and live the life I wanted to live. But before all of this, let's take a quick look at where I started. So when I was younger I wasn't very confident. I was quite lazy, I didn't know what to do with my life, I wasn't rich, and I was also struggling quite a bit with loneliness. You could say that I had a bit of a hard time connecting with others. I also remember that I wanted a girlfriend, but I was way too afraid to be vulnerable and open up to someone and show who I really am, or even give it a try even though there were plenty of opportunities. You could say that I was quite insecure, even though you might not have noticed because I probably came off as very secure and sure of myself to others. I remember looking up to people like Chris Pratt at the time for the only reason that other people seemed to really like him. Which is very funny to me now, because I really know nothing about this fucking guy. Let's not even begin to talk about all the shitty habits I had before, like overthinking, being my hardest critic, procrastination, people pleasing, porn, tobacco, partying, drugs and video games that kept me back and made it hard to do the things I knew that I had to do to create the life I always wanted to live. Let's jump to 4 years ago. It's 2019 and I thought I was doing pretty good at the time. Because for a long time now, I have been doing what I learned that I needed to do to be successful. I had my own company that I've been running for 2 years and I was doing well with NoFap, which I was quite obsessed with at the time. I wasn't lazy in the same way anymore, I was on the famous grind. I was hitting the gym every day, waking up on time, fighting to stay consistent with the habits that I had developed. I was working on my business and pushing myself every single day. Surely I was approaching my dream of living the life I wanted to live. Fuck no. I had been living a lie my entire life. I just never saw it for what it was. Not long after this seemingly very good point in my life where I was on track, my business failed and my health declined as I had a near-death experience because of the poor choices I had made in my life up until this point. Everything went to shit. But I was doing everything right. So why was this happening? I remember being very beaten down and thinking that perhaps I didn't try hard enough and should return even more convicted to succeed than last time. I can tell you that trying harder wasn't even an option. And neither did it hold the answer to my situation. And oh boy, I had no idea what was about to come next. Because after this turning point, I was never the same. This marked the start of an intense spiritual journey or awakening as some call it that would change everything that I knew about myself, other people and life. Let's jump back to the present moment. So, looking back, what seemed like the biggest obstacle in my life at the time was the start of a journey that is the reason for my satisfaction, for my success and dream life that I'm living more and more every single day. And I can share with you that I did not go back to my old lifestyle and tried harder after my turning point. That was the source of my issue to begin with, even though it was impossible for me to wrap my head around that at the time. And we'll get to why in just a second. I can also tell you that today I don't feel insecure in the same way anymore. I have a relationship with someone I love so deeply that is better than I previously could have ever imagined. Which is funny because for a while of my life, I was quite content with thinking that I would probably never meet someone. Compared to 2019, I am today 100% sure about what I am doing with my life, where I am going, who I am, and I'm beyond excited for the future as I know great things are coming because of this person that I have become. So, how did I make this happen? That is what the video is about. Let's begin by asking the real questions. Where in my life did I go wrong to begin with? Looking back, while I was wrapped up in the problems and lifestyle of my younger years, I actually had no idea where the error of my ways was that stopped me from becoming the person that I am today. And I know that if I continued doing what I was doing, always pushing myself, being hard on myself and trying so hard to improve and be the best, or just being stuck in the other negative habits that I had even before that hustle period, I would never be who I am today. So why was I never able to solve my problems in life at the time? Why didn't my efforts lead to success? It is for the simple reason that you cannot solve your situation or see the problem of your situation from the same state of consciousness that created your situation. But what the fuck does that mean? It means that as humans, we are literally designed not to be aware of the real problems in our lives. We are in fact unconscious of them. And the only reason that we can't see them clearly is that we have developed different habits of engaging ourselves in, so that we slowly grew unaware of them and forgot we had them over the years that we lived. We are never able to fix them and become free to create the life we deep down want to live. Okay, let's take a quick stop again. I know that can be a lot to take in, because what the fuck am I even talking about? Let's look at it this way. I thought that I made the change I was always in need of when I got into the improvement journey. Turns out I was just trading in the habits of the younger me for new habits that I used to run from the real problems deep within me. Believe it or not, the negative habits I had in my life were in fact not the source of my problems, but symptoms of much deeper ones. And those problems didn't go away or change as I switched my attention towards improving. These were problems that I was unaware of most of my life up until I actually hit my turning point. That is when I started to become aware of them and were able to start becoming this person that I am today. So here comes the real question. What the hell is this deeper problem? Oh, here comes the good part. For now, I'm gonna call it the underlying force. It is what makes a person take on habits or addictions and create a life for themselves that goes either great, not so good, or straight into a wall, as it happened for myself and many others. I never recognized myself that there was a deeper cause to all the problems I was facing in my life. A cause that I later on discovered and found out could be changed. And once I managed to change it, I left my old version behind and stepped into who I am today. There is a reason that I was faced with my turning point. Because outside of my own awareness, I had run and avoided the depth of my discomfort, the underlying force, for too long by always being engaged in something that I was doing, whether that was through my overthinking or my strive for perfection or any of the other addictions that I mentioned. Because these things made the underlying force hidden and always out of sight and reach. You see, the negative things in my personality, or negative programming as I call it, everything I did, my addictions, my hustle journey, it was all just a protection mechanism to keep me occupied from something very uncomfortable that I had grown unaware of my entire life. An underlying force that I never understood was actually there. This underlying force, unfortunately, kept me from growing into the person I always deep down longed to be. And I see the same pattern in pretty much every person that I have ever met. By now you might be wondering, what is this underlying force? Let's begin by understanding some basics about your makeup as a human and this universe that we live in. So who you are today is a culmination of actions, reactions, attitudes, thoughts, and behaviors. This is what makes up your personality and who you are. Now, this is important. 95% of those things you do are unconscious and happens automatically as part of your subconscious mind. And here's the unfortunate news about that. It is how you always engage in these parts of your personality outside of your control that create the experience of life that you have, because they lead you to create your life for better or for worse. Because it is through all of those times you didn't dare to do something or sabotaged your way forward in some way, by overthinking, being stuck in addictions, or always being focused on the wrong thing, just like I was for a long time, as just a few examples. It could also be staying in relationships that aren't good for you, or having friends that are not good, whatever it is. Let's just pretend that you are an overthinker or a procrastinator. Do you know what it is that fuels those negative parts of your personality if you have them? It is your energy, vibration, or in other words, your emotional state of being. A famous quote by Nikola Tesla is that if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, you must think in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration, because that is all there is to this universe. It appears physical, but it is in fact just energy. Einstein himself proved it in his formula of relativity. But what am I trying to say with all of this jazz? What I'm trying to get at is that if you're able to raise your energy as a human, it will be reflected in the quality of the things happening within your personality. Because your energy is the fuel for your personality, and that includes your subconscious programming and your negative ways of being. What does this mean? It means that negative personality traits that stop you from massive success and finding your unique path in life will go away. You'll notice that life suddenly starts going your way. It goes from struggle to flow as you drop all the things that previously held you back from connecting to your highest version that can guide you on the path to where you most want to go and make it a reality. Pretty cool, right? What is it that decides how high or how low your energy is as a human? It is your emotional state of being. So your emotional state, for your information, is your set point, who you are and what you are always operating from. And it is created and formed over your lifetime based on the things you went through and how you handle those things. Or even more importantly, didn't handle certain things. Negative habits and personality traits are indicators of how many unprocessed experiences you have from your past, because they are the fuel for them. You see, we are a walking memory bank of our past. We save and store experiences into our brain so that we don't do the same mistakes in the future. An intense emotion is always accompanied by any challenging situation that you experience in your life. That is how we perceive and experience things as humans, through our emotions. We never experience something outside of ourselves. So it could be shame, fear, guilt, and so on. And the thing is that we experience many intense emotions, or another word for them, traumatic emotions, as we grow up. For many people, it happens many times every single day. And here comes the problem with this. If you don't learn to handle and process some of the emotions that you experience as you go through life, which is the case for most people, they get saved down into your emotional state of being as the fuel for your negative habits later on in life. It is these saved emotions from difficult experiences in your past that later reflect all the negative habits you have and your energy that is either high or low. All the things that I had myself, such as insecurity, no confidence, and a hard time connecting to others, even my desperate drive for success at one point and other addictions, it existed there as a natural response to negative emotions stuck in my energy or emotional state, from things I went through in my past and never learned how to process properly. As you might have noticed, it can be hard to change who we are. But why is it so hard to get rid of our negative ways? It is because we need those negative ways and habits so badly to feel okay about ourselves, because without their presence we will slowly rediscover those emotions of not feeling worthy, good enough, loved, or whatever it is that is always there, unconscious and under the surface. You see, those emotions only became unaware to us and forgotten because we developed a negative part of our personality to distract ourselves and fully take our attention away from it our entire lives. And in that process, we grew numb to them and unable to sense them and recognize them anymore. Which is mission successful for the unconscious mind that is designed to keep you safe by keeping you away from pain. In this case, it is the pain of your emotional state of being or energy. The painful things you never learned to process. However, it is mission complete failure when it comes to your highest good later in life, as you are stuck being a lesser version of your greatest self. This is what started my own negative trajectory to begin with. These emotions outside of my awareness that I have been running from through my unconscious personality. It wasn't my negative habits that were my problem. They were once again just symptoms of the real cause. The thing is that it's so easy to know if you have unconscious emotions within your body that needs resolving. Just ask yourself these questions. Do you have negative habits or personality traits that are hard to get rid of? Do you live a life that you wish was better? Do you feel peace, certainty, and satisfaction about who you are and where you're going? How positive or negative you feel about these questions will show you how poor the state of your emotional state is, because it created all the negative survival mechanisms or habits within your personality that make you confused, unsure, and not confident in the face of these questions. Most of our programming is created when we are born and up until 7 years old, because during that time frame we are fully exposed to saving down our beliefs from our environment, as we are in a trance-like state before our brain fully develops. I don't know about you, but I remember almost nothing of my years at 1 to 7 years old. But with that being said, I know people who remember much more than me, so everyone is different. However, most of who I am and take for granted that I am was created during that time that I have no recollection of, or very little recollection of. This is very important to know to get the full picture of how you shaped yourself as you are today and your situation that you're in today. There are only 2 ways that you can deal with challenging situations, or in other words, emotions, as you are growing up. And the first is when you have a safe environment where you can express your emotions that come up as you go through things. Let's pretend that you are angry or feel shame and you express it. Who is around you and responsible for you in your younger years? Let's say it's your parents. Did your parents always show you love for expressing what you felt? Did they listen to you? Or did they yell at you or get angry when you did wrong? Perhaps some days they were nice and some days a bit off. Those are just some examples that might not be relevant to your personal journey, or they might be. What comes now, however, is the important part, so bear with me. If you feel that your parents, society, or friends, it could even be a sibling or something else, if you feel that they don't accept you anymore as you do something, even if it is just for a second, perhaps they might react strongly to you or just ignore you. Let's say you cry, scream, or tell them the truth, or share what you really feel. You will do anything to keep the perception that they still love you, because you need their acceptance and love for survival growing up. We are designed to correlate abandonment or not being accepted with death, as that is the case for a human during our vulnerable years when we need their support and protection in our lives. What does this mean? It means that when your parents or people around you that are important to you fails to meet your emotions with love and acceptance, which is super hard for most people because we all get triggered by things. When that happens, you will not process those emotions and bury that behavior or that part of yourself that you just had under some new negative behavior that you think is more acceptable to them. And this happens over and over, as you are a victim to your surrounding at this age and the state that you're in, this trance-like state where you're saving down and creating your personality. You will see yourself as the problem, and your unconscious mind will create a new way of being that occupies your attention, so you slowly grow unconscious of the parts of yourself and the emotions you just had that are triggering and not acceptable to the people around you. But the thing is that you cannot not be a part of who you are anymore. You can't remove your open and shady side, or the side of you that speaks the truth, or the side of you that likes to talk about yourself or ask questions, or that needs attention, whatever it is. The side of you that feels shame, the side of you that feels fear or anger or whatever it is. You can only hide those parts and mask those emotions. You can't get rid of them. And it can only be hidden in one way, and that is through the subconscious mind that steps in and develops a new habit so that your attention is always occupied, away from the pain of what you just went through. Because you have learned that in your environment it is not safe to process it. In this process, you slowly forget about the real part of yourself and get lost in this new personality or character that you developed. It could be perhaps a character that has a habit of always overthinking, so you stay quiet and fall in line with what you believe you need to do to be accepted. Or it could be a million other things like people pleasing because you don't feel good about yourself at your core, procrastination, not speaking up for yourself, working way too much, always need a relationship, needing to be perfect, and so on. This is why we go wrong in life or find ourselves not satisfied, perhaps having a midlife crisis or just struggling with finding peace, joy, and fulfillment. All because we lost touch with so many parts of ourselves during this process of adapting that we all go through, that makes us take a different direction in life than what is truly good for us. All because we carefully designed our character and personality over our lives without our own awareness. A character that is very separate from the person that we really are deep down. Instead, we are a fake version of ourselves, just one big unconscious coping mechanism filled with negative ways of being that we are stuck in because we believe so deeply that we need to be this person. Because it always serves as a distraction, keeping us busy from ever slowing down, and so that there is never an opportunity to face the emotions, our energy, that made us become this person in the first place. Here's what I can tell you at this point in my own life. I learned to process these emotions. That was the cause for the way that I was acting and being. That was the cause for the life that I was not satisfied with. After I learned this, my negative habits started melting away like snow on a sunny day. My life started changing in very magical ways. Far better than I could have possibly even ever imagined before. Don't get me wrong. It is painful to face your unconscious emotions. That is why we live our lives so desperately, trying not to do it. If you go down this road and discover more of yourself, you'll be free to create the life you want most as the person you truly are. Why you are not this highest and real version of yourself right now is only because you buried parts of who you are and lost them to the unconscious realm as you adopted the negative things you're always engaged in presently instead. This inauthentic version of yourself that you created and fooled yourself into believing is the real you in the process. You can't be the empowered and real version of yourself that knows the way to your ultimate fulfillment and success without those parts that you lost. And I can tell you that if you keep trying to find your success, just like I did, without these parts, you will continue to feel disappointed with your efforts and your results. Even if you quote unquote make it, you will feel that there is still something missing in your life, as you try to get that success through things that are not the source of what you need. The only way to discover and reconnect with the full version of yourself is to look within yourself, which is gonna require a whole other method than you probably ever considered before in your life. And we'll get more to that method in just a second. You're meant to be the sovereign leader of your own life and share your uniqueness with the world and do it your way, not someone else's way. That's when life gets good, not just for you but for others around you too, who gets inspired to be their own true selves and find their own way as well, because of the realness and the loving nature that you embody as you become the real person that you are. Let's wrap this up. The change that I was always looking for is the change that comes about from changing your level of consciousness, which comes back to raising your energy or emotional state by processing your unconscious emotions that are keeping it low, away from its natural high point where everything naturally starts going your way. This is what's sidelining your potential for real success in life, from being the person that you are and want to be. Don't forget to check out my free 30-minute subconscious success course, and I'll show you how to get started with the process of releasing your negative emotions, changing your programming, and living the life you actually want to live. Thank you for watching. Bye.